Is Sculpted Bones by Steve Wheeler. At school, Steve Wheeler wrote a comedy about a troop of soldiers stealing chickens, which was dramatised as a theatre exercise. He is convinced that, had he been older, Dad's army would have been his intellectual property. Nowadays, Steve's short stories and poetry concern dysfunctional relationships, the delusions of loneliness, and the passage of time. He says he would write comedy again, if only he could think of some good jokes. So please welcome to read Sculpted Bones, Steve Wheeler.
Sculpted Bones. Robert put his two-seater through its paces on the empty roads. Wedged and low-slung, it wasn't bad for someone not yet 30. A switch on the dashboard raised up the concealed headlights, slow and disdainful like the eyes of a waking cat. They were hung over from the night before. They'd rinsed the wine white, then red. They'd ordered large brandies over coffee, then slept badly after clumsy, lazy sex. She'd wanted to sleep but let him. Both of them on their sides, drowsy, his needs inside hers like spoons. Mid-Wales, agricultural villages and fallow towns, pebble-dashed chapels behind pegboard notice boards, battered family farms, fowls scratching amongst cabbages, edgy sheepdogs patrolling gateways, working men's clubs with shit-spattered neon signs, missing jigsaw pieces of glass, pubs in palliative care, advertising a quiz night or televised football, nicotined windows with saloon or lounge etched in curling letters, battened down takeaways, the Bengal tiger peeking house. Robert told Naomi of the evening he'd spent in a similar country pub in Wales. The locals had broken into song, Welsh hymns. He'd tasted the strong brew of the hills and valleys, coal mines, chapels and rugby clubs fermented in that pub. But then some boozed-up locals had balanced a metal bucket on top of the toilet door, which had booby-trapped Robert, cutting the bridge of his nose. The heady liquor of a song had been watered down with a feeling of what was he doing in this shithole. Sounds like you tasted the falling bucket part of our Welsh heritage, Naomi said. Naomi told Robert of her days as a trainee solicitor in a Valleys town, a mining community falling apart, of living in a bedsit above a fish and chip shop, no heating, a square of cardboard taped over a hole in the bedroom window, so cold in the winter there were ice crystals on the bedding where she'd exhaled during the night. The chip shop owner had an unerring sense of when she was going to dash from the bathroom back to her bedroom, wrapped only in a towel. He'd be at the foot of the stairs looking up. Didn't you give him a quick flash? Asked Robert. He might have reduced the rent. The only businesses that appeared to be open now were corner shop newsagents, with meagre tokens of Christmas in the windows. Locals exiting with a newspaper and tobacco. The lottery checked for another week. The dog walked, his bowels moved on the pavement. On past visits, they'd mooched in the small town antique shops that would have been called junk shops back in the city. Dusty mixtures of second-hand tack and an occasional find. They'd taken home a half-decent oil painting last time. Robert pulled a car over. That was an antique shop back there, wasn't it? I'd rather find coffee, Naomi said. Robert got out of the car into the drizzle. More chance of finding a Picasso. The painting on the earthenware statuette was crude, but the modelling of the peasant boy was lifelike. Long, sensual legs in maroon leggings. A blue ballet dancer's tunic covered a muscular torso. The blonde-haired head turned arrogantly over its right shoulder, and a tied bag on a stick over its left. He looks like the statue of a Greek god, Naomi said. Adonis. He's got sculpted bones, sure enough, the antique dealer said. The statuette stood on the floor in the back of the car like a child wedged in with coats. That was a steal, Robert said. Now can we find coffee? Shout if you see a hotel, said Robert. I don't fancy Taft's Caff. Naomi sunk down in her seat with her scarf pulled up to her nose, closed her eyes. Fucking English snob. Robert always felt horny after a heavy night. He looked down at Naomi's outstretched legs. He wanted to touch their litheness, like the tactile limbs of the statuette. He wanted to slide his hand up her short skirt, but he knew it wouldn't travel far. For her, it was in bed only. She tended towards the straight-laced, something he'd have to work on. Robert pulled up outside a stone-built cottage that had been converted to a catch-all gift shop, restaurant, ice cream parlour, B&B. It's not a hotel, but it'll have to do. As long as they sell coffee, said Naomi. A cowbell chimed as Robert opened the door and ducked under a low lintel armoured with horse brasses. On every surface there were Toby jugs, commemorative plates with 1980s faces of the Prince of Wales and Diana, Welsh dragons made in China, dolls in black hats and tea-towel maps. Textbook, Robert said. Just order. A waitress came from behind a chest freezer of ice creams. We'll have 2 double-shot espressos with hot skim milk on the side, Robert ordered. Sorry, but we only do black or white normal coffee, the waitress said. 2 white normals it is then. The waitress exited through a rainfall of strung beads. Do you have to take the piss? Naomi said. We'll both be drinking it soon, Robert said. Robert paced the room, lifting plates and Toby jugs, scanning the underside. Naomi took a compact from her bag and re-lipsticked. There was a rack of leaflets advertising things to do, places of interest. The coffees arrived. Robert took a leaflet to the table. Apparently the village church has the oldest Celtic stone font in Wales, and there are Celtic carvings on the stone altar. Shall we go and say our prayers? Robert blew on his drink. Will they be answered? Only if you're a good girl. Naomi put the compact back into her bag, unlikely then. Robert waved at the waitress as though he was holding a pen, writing the tab. Naomi hated it when he did that, one down from clicking fingers. The churchyard was semi-derelict, drowning in vegetation. Bracken, nettles and ivy had consumed all but the tallest of headstones. Many had toppled or been knocked down. Saturday night sport for bored teenagers. The cobbles in the path leading to the church door prized apart by dockweed. There's something about decomposing buildings. I try to see ghosts, Robert said. Not ghosts exactly, but photographs of the past, black and white pictures of people, buried under the nettles now. Inside, the church had been tended to like a grave. Birthdays and sad days, flowers in mildewed jars, dusted and weeded pews, the grass of disuse mown by the dwindling few. They ran their fingers over the stone font. The stonemasons who carved this is buried outside. I can feel it, Robert said. Gives me vertigo. Naomi was reading the mouldy, handwritten request for prayer pinned on a cork board. You might be standing on his bones. They planted the chosen few inside. Robert was climbing a stone spiral staircase that went up from the nave, narrow and unlit. His shoulders brushed both sides. Come and see this. At the top, a wooden floored platform overlooking a pit full of nothing but bird shit and pigeon feathers. Some winged carcasses. Rib cages rising from scraps of putrefying meat. 2 vertical arch slits lettered in winter light onto a rotting wooden frame. The bell's gone. In the dark space, Robert turned. held Naomi's arms and kissed her. She responded. Their mouths and tongues working each other's, Robert again felt the urge to put his hand up between her legs, to have sex there against the damp wall. Naomi ended the kiss. Can we get out of this bird's graveyard? It bloody stinks. Back outside, she led the way round the back of the church. There was a shed-sized stone vault with a Gothic scrolled iron gate just visible amongst the yew and holly. Blood-red berries dropping on the emerald mossed slate roof. Robert pushed open the unlocked gate. On either side of the inner walls were thick stone shelves. On the shelves, decomposed wooden casks. Naomi backed out. Jesus Christ, they're coffins? From the mire inside one of the coffins, its wooden side rotted away, the arm of a skeleton hung down. Robert viewed the arm like he'd viewed a statuette, his eyes close, moving up and down its anatomy. In the bell loft he'd felt a sexual urgency which hadn't dissipated. He felt it now, in his chest, in his shallow breathing. He felt a need to do something illicit, something carnal, to go all the way, to pull the bones into the ordure that pasted the floor. He found Naomi back in the car. Can you take me home, please? She said. Robert opened a bottle of red. He put a glass into Naomi's hand and filled it. He sat on the floor next to her legs. In the fireplace without a grate, the statuette stood with its head turned languidly across one shoulder, looking out into the room. It's Dick Whittington, Naomi said. Streets paved with gold. Robert moved his hands up Naomi's thighs. I'll stick with Sculpted bones.